All right, yeah, let's get started. I am going to start sharing my screen so that we can go over the details of the program, and then afterwards we'll have some time to dive deeper if there are any questions. Okay, can everyone see my screen? I'll take that silence as a yes, but if you're having any issues with Oh, I'm seeing some thumbs up. Thank you so much. If you do have any issues with seeing the screen, please do feel free to either let me know or you can follow along with the slide decks that I put inside of the chat. So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining today to learn a little bit more about our Boards and Commissions Fellowship. Um, Just so that you know who you're talking to, my name is Patricia Ferrero. I use she, her, ella, they, them, ella pronouns. You can see my information here. This is my email address as well as my phone number. Feel free to contact me in whichever way feels best for you. I will also be sharing my Calendly at the end of this session. So if you wanted to schedule additional time to talk through this program, feel free to. That is my job. It is what I love doing the most, is talking about the Boards and Commissions Fellowship and leadership development as a whole. So please do feel free to use me as a resource. This is an image that also includes Xochitl Marquez Guerrero, who is my colleague. She and I collectively run our Climate Justice Leadership Academy here at Conservation Colorado. And I have been a part of the Conservation Colorado team for just shy of 11 years. I started off as a community organizer, working with the Protégete program here in Aurora. And then as I was doing my work on the ground with our community in Aurora, I realized that one of the things that was most impactful in order to create long-term sustainable change in the environmental sphere or in any political movement is to ensure that we are providing the resources and the insider information for community members who are very passionate and have the lived experience of what it's like to be in an environmental justice community so that they can then become leaders in these spaces. So I have been running our Climate Justice Leadership Academy for the past 3 or 4 years. And Xochitl has been with us for the past 2 years. And together, we do have a couple of programs that we're going to be reviewing in just a second. So before we get started, I just wanted to make sure that we have a baseline understanding of how this session will be run with some agreements or some acuerdos. I really appreciate when people feel empowered to just interrupt me, to ask questions or share your expertise. I truly believe that everyone here is an expert in their lived experience. And while I'm providing you some information on our program, I do also think that people's experiences and stories really help enrich the conversation. So if there's anything that you want to share or any doubts that you might have, feel free to interrupt me, ask questions, put it in the chat, whatever feels right for you. I also welcome any feedback. You can provide it here or you can provide it afterwards. But any feedback that will also support in making me a better facilitator, make me better at my job, and also provide us with insight into what can make our programming more impactful and more effective moving forward. I ask that everyone please lead with curiosity. Um, Assume best intentions whenever anyone's speaking, but also hold us accountable. So if there's anything that I say that does not sit well with you, feel free to ask me questions and to let me know that this is something that maybe I should be reconsidering or rethinking the way that I'm framing these discussions. I also ask that everyone please be kind. Keep in mind that what we are requesting from folks is really emotionally laborious work. And so please do try to come in this space with kindness, with empathy, and with curiosity. And yeah, at the end of the day, we're all here by choice. And so please just know that if there's anything that you need to do in order to take care of yourself, you are more than welcome to do so. I know that this is just a 1 hour session right now, but this is for the most part, the agreements that we have for the majority of the work that we do in the Climate Justice Leadership Academy, and this is how we like to show up to this work. So we do have three desired outcomes for today. One of them is to introduce everyone here to our Climate Justice Leadership Academy. Then we want to provide a comprehensive overview of what the Boards and Commissions Fellowship is. And by the end of this session, I hope that everyone is able to understand whether or not they would be a good candidate for the fellowship, either as a fellow, as a mentor, or even as a facilitator for any of our sessions. So if you're coming out of this session with any additional questions about whether or not this is a good fit for you, that's totally okay. Please do feel free to reach out to me so that we can figure this out together. My hope is that we can answer these questions here today, but if that's not how you're leaving the session, we can still continue the conversation afterwards. So to provide a little bit of an overview, as I mentioned before, I run the Climate Justice Leadership Academy with my colleague Xochitl, and together our aim is to ensure that everyone across the state of Colorado feels like they have the connections, the resources, and the insider information to not just participate, but to thrive in our communities and in our political sphere. So historically, our politics here in Colorado and across the United States can be a really exclusionary space. And what our hope is that we are providing some of the information that will allow people to feel that they have access to some of the spaces that they're interested in leading in, and that they feel safe enough to do that with comfort. So we don't want anyone to feel like they're being tokenized as they're going through this leadership development space or as they're looking for their leadership path. We want to make sure that this is a space that will truly highlight the lived experience, the expertise that our community has, and create a network and a community that is going to be supportive of each other so that we're all together creating change. In our Climate Justice Leadership Academy, we do have three different programs that we currently offer. One of them is our Climate Leaders Academy. This is for folks who are interested in starting off their advocacy journey. You might not have very much background in engaging in politics or the civic process, and you want to learn more about how to do community advocacy, how the system is set up in your community, and how you can create change. So if there's folks here who maybe feel like they don't have all of the information necessary to come into the Boards and Commissions Fellowship, we can definitely talk about providing a Climate Leaders Academy program in your community that will allow you to feel like you have a little bit more of that background. And that way you can start with your leadership pathway in this political process. We also have a youth program, which is called the Next Generation Climate Leaders Program. This is for high school and college students who are interested in learning more about how they can get civically engaged. I really was very excited about this program because I remember as a high school student having a lot of energy and a lot of desire to create change in my community, but being told repeatedly that I am too young, too dumb, too whatever to participate in these spaces. And so we really want to support our climate leaders at the high school and college level so that they feel like their voices really matter and that they can make an impact. And then the last program that we offer, and this is our newest one, is our Boards and Commissions Fellowship, which is what we're here to talk about today. Our Boards and Commissions Fellowship is intended for folks who have a little bit more experience working in these spaces. So this is not intended to be an introductory course. It is really for folks who have a little bit more experience in politics and the civic process, who maybe have gone and advocated in different venues before and are interested in now taking a leadership position in these spaces. And I wanted to include here what our values are for the Climate Justice Leadership Academy, because this is one of the things that we look for in all of our participants, is that there is shared values. You can find more information on our values Well, you will be able to find more information in our website. Currently, this information is not located there, but we are making changes to incorporate this into our website moving forward. And basically, what we're really looking for is folks who want to work collectively, collaboratively to create change from a place of love, a place of storytelling and reciprocity, and intersectionality. So this is a slide that kind of talks a little bit about the purpose of our fellowship. We are intended to support community leaders from disproportionately impacted communities in getting appointed to boards and commission seats. So it's pretty simple. The reason why we focus on boards and commissions is that as Conservation Colorado, we do focus on people, politics, and policy. Those are the three arms of Conservation Colorado. And this leadership development that we do, especially in the boards and commission space, is really at the nexus of all three of these pieces of work that we do. So with policy, we're looking for folks who are going to be passionate about creating a more equitable and just world and who are going to work to elevate our values in these different decision-making spaces. It doesn't mean that we need to be 100% aligned, but we do look for folks who are interested in creating a positive change in our political system and in environmental justice work as a whole here in Colorado. So folks who have an understanding of the environmental issues, the pro-conservation issues that we work on, and who are willing and able to uplift the importance of these issues on the different boards and commissions that they may be interested in participating in. This also helps elevate our political work because what we really are looking for is folks who may in the future be interested in running for office. And we think that the boards and commissions space is a great area for folks to start practicing their leadership skills so that they can see whether or not they're interested in running for office in the future. It is not a requirement for folks to be interested in running for office. But we do think that this is a very safe place for everyone to start practicing their leadership skills and become familiar with how these spaces work so that you're able to navigate them safely. It's often not a great idea for folks to jump from community advocacy to running for example, at the federal level, running to be in the House or the Senate and Congress. It's much better to start in these smaller spaces. Although we do see a lot of really successful people who jump directly into these more prominent roles, we think that it can be a much safer pathway for folks to start off in the boards and commission spaces. And the great thing about boards and commissions is that oftentimes there aren't very many people who are competing for these seats. So it is a very easy way to start dipping your toe into politics. And lastly, in terms of our people, this is something that I'm really passionate about. We would work with volunteers on the ground, and we often would cut their wings when it came to next steps for their leadership journey because there was nothing more that we were providing for folks in terms of their leadership growth. And with the Boards and Commissions Fellowship, we're really hoping that this will give people an opportunity to continue to explore what their leadership can look like and continue to grow and investigate what is the path that makes most sense for them. Some folks may find that boards and commissions are exactly where they want to be and that they want to stay in these different positions for the rest of their political career. And some folks may find that actually they do want to run for office in the future. And so we're hoping that this Boards and Commissions Fellowship really gives people that insight to make informed decisions moving forward. So a little bit about some of the topics that we cover. This is a 6-month program, and so we do try to cover a variety of topics that will support people in their leadership journey. A lot of our sessions, almost all of our sessions do start with self-care and community care. We do think that taking care of yourself as an individual and being part of a connected community that is supporting each other and invested in collective well-being is very much necessary for the success of any individual who wants to engage in politics. Um, this is what allows for there to be longevity in your career, but also it allows you to take a step back whenever you need to because you know that there's other people who are able to take care of the work while you're taking care of yourself. So we do cover a lot of self-care and community care issues, especially as it pertains to being a public figure. We also cover issues of power analysis and justice. So being able to identify what it is that is making you a strong leader in these spaces and how you can navigate and power map the different spaces that you might be working in so that you can better understand what are strategic moves that you can take in order to be the most effective person in whatever space you might be seated in. We also cover communication strategies, so looking at social media for public figures, how to engage with the media, um, and having messaging that is rooted in justice and empathy. Um, and then a couple of other things that we look at is working within the system. We understand that the political structure is very inequitable, but we do need to know how to navigate that as someone who is going to be working within this system. And then what are ways in which we might be able to create change once we're in there. So being able to talk about the actual system that we're currently working in and how to do so responsibly and safely is really important to us. We also want to honor lived experience. We know that everyone comes with their own personal lived experience that can really help inform what are the best policies that need to be instated in these different boards and commissions. We often see that these boards and commissions are often made up of people who do not have the most diverse backgrounds, and that limits the solutions that may be proposed. So we're really hoping that we can bring to the table folks who have experience with being part of a disproportionately impacted community, and can really bring that expertise and that knowledge to these spaces. And then lastly, we do talk about reciprocity with nature and with our communities, that this is intended to really create relationships that are going to support each other, and that this is not us being in competition with nature, being in competition with each other. This is us creating a network and an ecosystem that is healthy, because when our environment is healthy, when our community is healthy, then we as individuals are also healthy. So really thinking about this as a collective and um, as as all of us really being in this work together. So a little bit about the structure of the program. We do have 3 in-person meetings. This year they are going to be in October, March, and May. These meetings are intended to help create a stronger network within the Boards and Commissions Fellowship. So our October retreat is a 2-day retreat where um, we establish relationships within the cohort and ensure that folks know who it is that they're talking to. Um, excuse me, can create collective values and goals and understand what it is that why it is that we're doing this work. In March, we have our mock hearing. This is where we put into practice a lot of the conversations that we're covering throughout the fellowship. And then in May, we have our graduation. Between these sessions, we also have 8 hours of Zoom trainings per month. So this is from November 2026 until April 2027. We will have 8 hours per month of Zoom trainings. These happen on the second and third Saturday of every month. The only month in which we don't have two will be in March because one of those sessions will be our in-person mock hearing. Between each of our virtual sessions, we will have homework assignments. These are not homework assignments that I am checking for completion, but it's mostly for your own growth. So these are intended to support you with um, with, setting yourself up for success as you're looking at the boards and commissions that you might want to be applying for. The intention is that everyone does apply for board or commission before the end of the cohort, or at least that they've identified which board or commission they want to apply for, because they do have a schedule in which they open. And so it's possible that the board or commission that you have identified as being interested in will not have an opening during the cohort, and that's totally fine. But with the homework assignments, our goal is that you'll be able to investigate which boards and commissions are out there, how to apply, how to be successful within these boards and commissions, and how to establish a network that will continue to support your growth throughout your career. Every month, we also ask that everyone meets with their mentor. These mentors are one-on-one relationships. Every fellow will have a unique mentor that they will be working with, and you have to meet with them for a minimum of 1 hour every month. If you want to meet for longer, that is totally fine, but it is a requirement for folks to meet with their mentor. And then we also require for folks to meet with a fellow that we will be assigning you every month. And this is to ensure that there's also connection between all of the fellows, because there's a lot of learning and a lot of cross-pollination that can happen within the fellowship itself. There are also optional coaching opportunities. We have our incredible director, Beatriz Soto, who is our director of community engagement at Conservation Colorado, who provides some coaching hours for our fellows. These are completely optional, but they are an opportunity to dive a little bit deeper into a place where you might feel like you need additional growth. And then we're also going to be connecting everyone with a campaign manager and organizer for an issue area that you're most interested in. So in the beginning of the program, we will be diving into the different issue areas that Conservation Colorado works in. These are land, public lands, environmental justice, water, transportation, and environmental justice. Or, sorry, no, and climate change. So those are the 5 issue areas that we work in, and we will be asking everyone to choose an issue area that you're most interested in, and you will be connecting with the campaign manager and organizer so that you're able to talk with someone who has a lot more expertise in what these spaces look like, and they can support you with finding a board or commission that aligns with your issue area of interest. So this is the timeline for the Boards and Commissions Fellowship. Currently, we are in July, so applications are open right now. In August, we will be reviewing the applications the first week of August to ensure that we have an understanding of who all the applicants are. Not all applicants will receive an invitation to do an interview, but in the second week of August, if you are selected, you will be sent an invitation to set up a meeting to do an interview with us. For this interview, we'll ask a few questions, and our main goal is to really identify whether or not you are a good fit for this upcoming cohort. This year, we are looking to admit between 15 and 20 fellows. And so we don't have a lot of seats available. We really want to make sure that our cohort will be able to work together, and that we have folks who really align with the values that we have as the Climate Justice Leadership Academy and Conservation Colorado. Then in September, we will be sending out our acceptance emails, and I will also be sending out calendar holds for folks and providing the information for the fellowship so that you can start preparing. On September 9th, we will have our mentors onboarding. If anyone is interested in being a mentor that is on this call, we'll talk a little bit more about what the mentorship aspect also entails. Our kickoff retreat is going to happen on October 17th and 18th. This is a 2-day retreat that most likely will be taking place in Denver. During this time, we do try to establish relationships with each other, ensure that we are able to connect on what our values are, what our stories are, and what makes us really valuable and very unique leaders in this space. We'll also do an environmental justice tour, and we'll have a few conversations to identify how we can ensure that we're supporting you throughout this fellowship. We'll have a networking event as well so that you can start making connections early on. For anyone who's coming from out of town, we do provide transportation support and we provide a hotel room. So if you are someone who is located somewhere else that is not in the Denver metro area and you want to participate in the fellowship, we will be supporting you to ensure that you're able to participate during these in-person events. Then from November until April, we have our trainings. The trainings do happen virtually in order to ensure that everyone across the state is able to engage equitably. And these do tend to be pretty long trainings. They are 4 hours each in order to cover all of the topics that we're going to be going over. And in order to make this really equitable, we do provide a lot of breaks throughout the trainings so that folks can take care of themselves. You are more than welcome to walk away if you need to, do what you need to do in order to be able to engage as fully as you can. And for anyone who is unable to attend any of our Zoom trainings, these will be recorded and only shared with the fellowship. So this is not information that is made available. We don't post this on our YouTube channel. It is only shared within the fellowship. And then on March 19th and 20th, we will have our in-person advocacy day and mock hearing. The advocacy day is completely optional, but then we also have our mock hearing that is mandatory. So anyone who is participating as a fellow will have to attend our in-person mock hearing on March 20th. And then our last event that is part of the fellowship is our graduation. This happens on May 8th this year, or next year. And we go over some closing ceremonies. We also provide some gifts for all of our fellows, and we also do a networking event to kind of close off the fellowship. That being said, we do hope that all of our fellows remain connected to the work that we're doing, either as volunteers or as one of our grass tops that we're connecting with occasionally. And then you become part of our Climate Leaders network. So this is what we're looking for. We are looking for fellows, mentors, and presenters. We'll go over what each of these entail. I will only say a little bit about the presenters. For anyone who is an expert in a certain topic or issue area, we are always looking for presenters that will be part of our network and will be able to share their expertise with our cohort. For all presenters, we do provide an honorarium for engaging in our program. It's usually about $150 an hour, but we're more than happy to talk about what you feel like is an equitable pay for the work that you do with us. And so if you charge more for providing these presentations, we're very much willing to have a conversation about ensuring that you feel comfortable with the pay scheme. If you're interested in being a presenter, please do reach out to me. I am the main facilitator for the Boards and Commissions Fellowship, but I also know that I'm not an expert in basically anything. I am just really passionate about this work and I've been doing it for a really long time, but I'm always really excited to have presenters come in and provide their expertise and really do a deeper dive into any of the issue areas that we discuss. So if there's something that you would like to talk about for the fellowship, feel free to reach out to me. So for the fellows, a little bit on the fellow profile that we're looking for. The most important thing that we look for in a fellow is that there is a desire to apply for a board or commission before the fellowship is over. So, as I mentioned before, if you are interested in applying for a board or commission that does not have an opening until after the fellowship ends, that is totally okay. We don't penalize anyone for not applying before the end of the fellowship, but we are looking for folks who are really invested and committed to applying for boards and commissions. We're also looking for folks who are dedicated to environmental justice and to being a voice for their community. For the most part, we do ask for folks to have some previous level of activism. It doesn't have to be with Conservation Colorado. It can be with one of our incredible partners that are also doing really important work. So we've had a lot of great fellows who have been part of organizations like Cultivando, the Good Food Collective, um, the Colorado Statewide Parent Coalition. We really value the work that our partners are doing. And so if you have some previous level of activism for a different organization, please do name that during the application so that we're able to identify that you are someone who has some level of engagement in this type of work. It doesn't have to be very in-depth, but we also recognize that being on a border commission can be very difficult if you don't understand what it's like to engage in a border commission as a participant, as a community member. We will have opportunities for folks to do that as part of the fellowship, but our main goal is to make sure that folks don't feel like they are being left behind or like they don't have the same level of experience as the rest of the cohort. So if you do have previous activism, please do name that. Disproportionately impacted identities are also very much encouraged to apply. This includes folks who are part of the disability community, folks who are LGBTQIA+, BIPOC individuals, anyone who is part of a disproportionately impacted community. Um, Please do also name if that is something that has shaped the way in which you see your work, because our hope is that we're really elevating the voices of disproportionately impacted communities. But if this is not something that you have, it's totally fine. We do not exclude folks from participating in the fellowship based on identity. We just really want to make sure that we're highlighting and we're elevating the voices of our community. And then something that's really important is that this fellowship does require a pretty substantial time commitment. Um, we estimate that between the training sessions, between the homework, the meeting with your mentor, meeting with your fellow, you will be dedicating approximately 20 hours a month to the fellowship. We know that that is a pretty steep commitment. If that is not something that you're able to do right now, that's fine. But it might not be a good time for you to apply for this fellowship then. We are asking folks to be able to really dedicate this time because we're hoping that this will also allow for you to then dedicate that time to whatever board or commission that you are going to be applying to. Um, and that we are also covering as much information and prepping people as much as possible ahead of time. And then the last thing, as mentioned before, we are looking for folks who are values aligned. So taking a look at the values that we have as the Climate Justice Leadership Academy, we do want to make sure that folks understand that we are looking for individuals that are looking to work communally, who want to create a positive change in their communities, who are dedicated to equity and justice, and that really want to create more environmentally just communities. So here are a few benefits for being a fellow. One of them is that we provide access to insider information and strategic action opportunities. So this includes information on what campaigns we're working on and how to be really strategic about taking action that is going to create the biggest change. So we do provide you with information on what our thinking is as Conservation Colorado and how you can also apply the same thinking to the work that you might be doing in your community. We provide access to our network. Oftentimes in politics, it's a lot more about who you know rather than what you know. And so being able to talk with our mentors, our facilitators, our staff members, our partners that are doing really incredible work on the ground as well, is also something that hopefully will support all of our fellows in thinking about their work in the future and how they can collaborate effectively. Because this work does not happen at an individual level. It requires a lot of people coming together and collectively fighting for change. And so having a strong network is really valuable and important. We also provide individualized guidance on your leadership journey. So Again, having that one-on-one relationship with your mentor, having access to staff members at Conservation Colorado, being able to um, talk with our campaign managers about what are some of the spaces where a lot of decisions are being made on the issues that you care about. This guidance is really intended to be supportive of your growth, and we try to provide as much individualized attention as possible. And we're working every year to increase the individualized attention that we're giving to all of our fellows. So this year we are incorporating this campaign manager relationship with our fellows that we're hoping will also give more in-depth details into how you can be an effective leader in the spaces that you care about. And then lastly, because we really do appreciate the time commitment that this work requires, we do offer a $1,000 stipend. We know that this is not enough to really cover the amount of time, capacity, and resources that our fellows dedicate to the program. But more than anything, we want to make sure that we're honoring, excuse me, that we're honoring the work that everyone is doing. And then as I mentioned, for anyone who is coming from out of town, we also provide additional financial support to ensure that you are not paying for the transportation in order to come into Denver for our in-person meetings, that you have access to a place to sleep. And if we can cover your food as well, then we will also do that. But our hope is that anything that you need to do in order to engage with our work, we're able to cover those expenses in order to remove as many barriers as possible. So a little bit on who we're looking for the mentor position. Perhaps there's folks here on the call or who are watching this video who have already engaged on a board, commission, or similar decision-making body before, and you feel like this might not be the right fit for you as a fellow. We are always looking for mentors who can also support our fellows in their growth. We want to make sure that we're providing all of our fellows with an opportunity to find a mentor that really aligns with their lived experience, with their identities, and with the work that they hope to do in the future. So having a diverse pool of mentors really supports our fellows in their growth. We have our fellows choose whichever mentor they want from our list of mentors, and this is because we know that oftentimes there might be a very specific identity that they're looking for. They're looking for connections and for mentors who maybe have similar lived experiences, who have managed to navigate this very messy and often very exclusionary political system and been able to land a position on a board, commission, maybe a city council, whatever different decision-making body. And so being able to find mentors who might be able to dedicate a little bit of time to their fellow really helps with their growth. We hear from our fellows repeatedly that their mentor having a mentor is one of the most influential pieces of the Boards and Commissions Fellowship. So if you feel like you might be a good mentor, please do reach out to me or fill out our application because we're always looking for incredible mentors. In terms of requirements for being a mentor, we try to limit the amount of time that we're requesting from our mentors. We do request for about 2 to 5 hours a month that they can dedicate to the fellowship. One of those hours is to having a meeting with your fellow. So you do not need to dedicate more time in terms of your relationship with your fellow, but it's always nice to be able to dedicate some additional time to doing research into the issue areas that we're covering that month, being able to also think about what resources your fellow may need. And so that research component and that kind of thinking about the support that you can offer your fellow is part of the work that we're requesting from our mentors. So 1 hour will be dedicated to meeting with your fellow. The rest of the time is to reviewing the information for the topics that we're covering that month and also thinking about what additional resources your particular fellow may need. We do not request that our mentors join the trainings. They don't have to come to any of our trainings. It is optional for mentors to come to our networking events and also to our in-person um, mock hearing, but it is not mandatory for them to do that. And this year, we are also instituting a new piece of the mentorship, which is having a virtual session for all of our mentors and all of our fellows to get to know each other. And so this will be happening in October. It will be through Zoom, and it will provide all of our fellows an opportunity to have a quick chat with all of the mentors before choosing who might be the best fit for them. In the past, there's just been some complications with getting those connections going. So this year, we're really hoping that this kind of meet and greet will allow our mentors and fellows to feel more comfortable and confident in their initial outreach. And then in terms of, being a good mentor, what we're looking for is folks who are dedicated to building confidence, serving as a guide, expanding networks, supporting fellows and getting appointed, and then having shared values with Conservation Colorado and the Climate Justice Leadership Academy. Um, there's no requirement for mentors to have previous experience as a mentor, although that's always very, very much appreciated. We will have an onboarding session for all mentors, and we'll provide some resources to support them in their growth as they're also navigating perhaps a new skill. A lot of our mentors are first-time mentors, and so we do want to support with this growth as well. Last year, we were able to provide a few trainings for our mentors as well with a paid facilitator. And if that's something that our mentor cohort is interested in, we can always provide this again. So that's the information on our Boards and Commissions Fellowship. Here are the next steps that folks may be able to follow today. So today we had our info session. If you feel like you are not yet ready to apply for the fellowship, that is totally fine. What you can do is you can meet with me or with my colleague Xochitl to learn more about our other leadership development programs. Or you can also meet with one of our organizers who can connect you with opportunities to volunteer and kind of get some of that experience in the advocacy space so that you then feel more confident in applying for the fellowship in following years. However, if you are feeling like you are ready to take the next step, there are two things that you can do today. One of them is apply to be a fellow. The application will be open all of the month of July. So on July, what is it, 30th or yeah, we will be closing the application. But you have until then, which is about a little over 2 weeks right now, to apply for the fellowship if you are interested. All applicants get notified about whether or not they've been selected to do interviews the first week of August, or sorry, the second week of August, just to ensure that we have enough time to review all of the applications. We will be letting folks know, I think it is on August 10th is when we will be giving everyone a heads up. And so you will be notified that we have received your application on August 1st, and then on August 10th, you'll know about next steps. And then fellows are selected and notified by the first week of September. If you feel like you might fit better in a mentor position, you have until the end of August to register to be a mentor, and then we will have our onboarding session happen on September 9th. Here we have the applications for all of these different pieces. So we have our fellowship application that is open right now. We have our mentor registration that will be open until the end of August. And then if anyone here, I don't think that we have any of our previous mentors here, but for anyone who might be viewing this who has been a mentor before, we do have a returning mentor application or a registration form that is just 3 questions to ensure we can gather the information on your interest in being a mentor once more. And that is the slide deck that I have. I will also share right here something that I put in the chat already is the PDF for the Boards and Commissions Fellowship application. If you wanted to take a look at what the application looks like before you do apply, there are 15 questions in total. That being said, the majority of them are very simple, so asking for your name, last name, email, phone number, pronouns, and then we start getting into some of the questions that require a little bit more information. And so for the uh, open-ended questions, such as number 8, are you a member of a systematically excluded community? If you want to provide a little bit of information, it always helps us have a better understanding of who you are and how this has impacted or informed your engagement in advocacy and policymaking spaces. So for these questions, we request that folks maybe add a paragraph or maybe 2 paragraphs so that they're able to fully respond to the questions and give us enough information so that we can make an informed decision. So answering this or applying should take maybe between half an hour to an hour. We're really hoping that this will not be something that will deter people from applying. We're not looking for essays, just some information that will help us with identifying whether or not you can be a good fit for the fellowship is sufficient. All right, I'm going to stop sharing and I will also stop recording.